Welcome to Over the Bridge. I'm your boy Jay White.
Doug Phenom.
And we're sitting here trying to give you all the sauce and all the tools that you need on your road to success.
Amen to that. Well, I guess we could say we're bridging the gap between a lot of different industries. The common people want questions, have questions for a lot of media figures, a lot of people that are inside the industry. And today we're sitting with two key figures, if we could say, that have been in the game for a while, that have a lot of insights. And they're going to share some things about their personal experiences, maybe give some advice, some personal game, so the people can follow suit.
Absolutely. I'm sitting here with Keenan, HIGz, Higgins, and he's one of the many writers over at Black America Web. And he's been publishing articles for the past, I don't know how many some odd years, but I think what were you at, like 23,000 articles or something?
Something like that. I started in 2011, so we're going on good 15 years.
Absolutely, yeah.
Seasoned. Trying out here, something.
Yeah, and then we're sitting over here with Lottie, who's been, I guess, like a multifaceted individual within the music space for a long time, man. A music journalist, songwriter, content consultant, creative strategist. I'm not gonna lie, when I was going through your resume, because you have a very extensive bio, I was kind of like, dang, like how do we get through all of this in one episode?
You don't.
So, I mean, where do we start? I mean, this is really just a discussion on the Black media landscape. Like I said, like we told the guests at the beginning of this, you guys are experienced individuals in this game, man. I guess since we introduced HIGz first, HIGz, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, and how you got into what you're doing today?
Cool. Yeah. So like I said, I started in 2011, February 2011 to be exact. Well, I'll even bring you back to 2010. What happened was, when I was looking to figure out what I wanted to do, like once I got to college, right, what I'm gonna do, what am I major in? And so I always said, okay, I got good grades in English class, and I learned how to read by reading Rolling Stone, Electronic Gaming Monthly, Vibe magazine, all the run of the mill. And so I kind of put all those together, and I was like, okay, let me bridge my interests and what I'm actually good at, and let's turn it into something. And so I said, okay, well, I like music and I like to write, so let's do journalism and let's do a music industry thing. And so I applied for 2 internships. One was a music internship at Sony, and then one was a editorial internship at Vibe magazine. And I never heard from Sony, but Vibe ended up hitting me back. But what happened was they hit me to intern 6 months prior, but my schedule at the time didn't fit. And at the time, I didn't know how internships work. I thought you just go and you clock in and you do what you want. But they're like, because I was like, yeah, I could come in at 6 o'clock and, I'll just work till close. And they was like, yeah, you're going to be here by yourself, because that's not how it works. You don't just come in when you want, So I had to learn that. And they were like, listen, they like you so much that when you get the time and when you do your schedule for next semester, you won't even have to audition. Like, we'll just bring you on. And so I was like wanting to do it at that time. And I was like, let's do it now. And I waited, and I got my schedule right. I made my schedule around the internship. And then from there, it started there. And it originally started as a 3-month internship. And then in my 3rd month, they were like, hey, we kind of like you. Can you stay on for the summer? And the 3-month internship turned into 7 months, went to Complex, and then Vibe called me back and they were like, hey, we actually got a job for you. And then from there, it just went from there. Beautiful. So from 2012 till now, it's just been an ongoing journey.
So you touched on it a little bit, but, talk a little bit about like what it means to have patience in this industry, because I think a lot of times we're so passionate and we want things to go right so badly that we may end up rushing things or anything like that. So, to talk about having to learn about your patience and where it's brought you.
I think, just in general, because I do have people who hit me even where I am now, and they're like, all right, so you got an internship for me, or you got a job for me, or you got this, that, and I'm like, yo, pace yourself. Because I worked at a company that was a startup sports lifestyle website that we were startup. You know what I mean? And I took a nice pay cut just so I could learn the experience of something. basically, I was at Complex for a good year. And then at the end of that year, I was realizing like the feelings that, like, when I would go to events, it'd be like I'd get to the door and I'd be like, "Oh, who are you? Oh, Keenan. Oh, what publication? Oh, Complex. Oh, you need this? You need this? You want a bottle? You want some weed? Like little shit like that." And then the way it switched, I was like, so before I told you I worked at Complex, you didn't mess with me. But now that Complex is like, now you on my ass. It's like, nah. And I realized that could have been the sentiment for years and years and years. And I just wanted to know what that felt like to not have that, or to go to a door and you respect me for my name alone. And so from there, that's why I decided to go to the Startup Lifestyle website. But that was 3 years of just patience and just like realizing that it wasn't going to be 3 months in. They like, yo, let's do this. Oh, here's $8 million. It's like I had to hustle for a couple of hundred for like a while before things really kicked up and really came into place. But when they do, it can sometimes happen overnight. But if you prepared for it, you're ready.
No, that was a great introduction.
Yeah.
Lottie, man, we need you to follow up with some fire.
Yeah.
We tell us a little bit about your story. I know you hail from Yonkers. Tell us about your upbringing.
Shout out to
maybe
Warrior.
how your environment shaped how you wanted to go into your career path and how you got to be where you are today.
Man, where do I even start? Yes, I am from Yonkers, New York, the home of Jadakiss,
Jada? Okay.
DMX, Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of legends from over there. So yeah, I grew up listening to hip hop and R&B, but on the low, because I grew up in a very strict and religious immigrant household. So they was not fucking with the secular music. Like I was not allowed to, even like pop shit, like they just didn't want any of it. They're like, everything's about sex and drugs. And I'm like, so?
Where are your people from?
Nigeria.
Nigeria. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so they didn't want us to become corrupt. If you know anything about Yonkers, it can get a little ghetto. So they did not want us
I'm from
be...
Mount Vernon, so I know.
Oh yeah. So you know what the fuck is up. So yeah, so like they were just like really worried about like anything on TV or anything through the radio. So my siblings and I would always like sneak down to like the basement to like watch and play whatever we wanted. Wow. And then there'd be someone who would sit near the door, so that way if we heard like our mom coming, we can like change the channel real quick. It was
that last channel button.
Yeah, exactly. But even like on the school bus, shout out to the school bus, man, because the bus drivers don't care. They'll play anything, and I'm just like, wow, they're really talking about every type of sin imaginable, and it's to a fire ass beat.
Wait,
like
they
the
play
bars.
music on your buses?
Yeah.
Like the bus drivers would play music on your buses? I didn't have that experience.
They did not give a damn.
Crazy. Yeah.
So like that introduced me to so much as well. And then obviously, like your neighbors doing whatever. It was just my house that was kind of like a church, but everywhere else was fun and fire. So I knew from a really young age that I wanted to do music.
Yeah.
And then I was doing my research. I would hop on the computers at school. And then I saw that LaGuardia High School was like the like performing arts school. So I told my mom, I said, I want to go here for school. And she was just like, no, you're going to be a doctor. So this is not going to help you do that. And just like crushed my little heart, But I was like, okay, I'm going to figure out a way to make this work. But I was one of those kids who's like a goody two-shoes type. I really wish I was more rebellious. If I can go back in time, I would have been like, fuck it.
What would you be doing?
Child.
You would have been roaming the streets?
I mean, yeah, but not just for shits and giggles. Like I feel like you have these kids who are like, yeah, I was sneaking to concerts and stuff, and like I really wish I had done that kind of thing.
Yeah,
because a lot of it was like limited to just stuff that was happening in school and stuff that was happening like kind of like in my neighborhood, but I didn't really get to like venture out that much. So I did the whole thing, like got straight A's in high school, went to college uptown, studied engineering, and not even like audio engineering. It was like biomedical engineering. I was like pre-med. So I was really out here.
Oh, you're smart.
Yeah, I am. But it's like by force and by fire, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like I had no choice. And so then after I graduated school with like a crap ton of debt, and I ended up dropping my pre-med concentration because I was just going through like a lot of like weird depression and stuff because I was doing stuff I didn't want to do. I was just like trying to like appease my parents.
Right.
And so I graduated, had a bunch of debt. I was like, I need to get a high paying job. I had a friend who knew of a job at a law firm. So I ended up working in immigration law, which now is quite timely. And it was like the most money like I'd ever seen in my life. That was like my first 6-figure job.
Wow.
And was working there and was making money. I was like in Midtown East, living life, and was just like miserable. And I was like, wow, I actually hate this so much. This is crazy. And what I started doing was just kind of tapping again back into the local community. Shout out to Gender Amplified, shout out to Digilog, shout out to all different communities I standard, where I was able to tap in with other creatives and realize, one, that there was an industry outside of New York. So like that's what encouraged me to visit LA and visit Atlanta. And I was just like, okay, I get it. Like my first time going to Atlanta, I see like Playboi Carti perform. That was the same summer that Magnolia blew up in New York. And I was just like, yeah, okay, I need to like figure out how to like get into this industry. And so I ended up quitting my job. I hope my mom doesn't watch this because she don't know the story. But basically I lied to my family, told them I had a job lined up for me out in LA, but I didn't. I just quit my job, did a cross-country road trip with one of my homegirls, and it was just like I dumped all my savings and just went out there and was like, I'm gonna figure out how to make it work in LA, because like LA is like where the industry is at. But when I had visited LA, just going through all those sessions, I got to meet a lot of cool people. And funny enough, someone who's still in my life to this day, shout out to JJ at ASCAP. I had met him at ASCAP Expo, and he is leading at the time, the rhythm and soul department at ASCAP. And so he was one who encouraged me to tap in with the songwriting camp that they had. And that like changed my whole life. That's how I got my first ASCAP songwriting award. That's how I was able to further like legitimize myself in music. And I was like, okay, I could actually like do this as a creative. This is very cool. But I moved out to LA, and child, that was the hardest few years of my life. I was only there for 2 years. But when I tell you, you trying to just do anything to get $1 to pay rent, like wow. I was working at restaurants. That's actually where I met Frank Ocean. Shout out to Frank, I love you. And Steve Lacey. I was working as like an extra on set of like music videos. I was working at hotels, just any kind of odd job that you can get to. And again, like no one like back home like knew. And then eventually like I started to think a little bit more, and I was like, okay, I have experience like working in law. I can get another job that does that out here. So I got another law office job out in LA. And so that helped me kind of like stay afloat. But still was miserable because I was going to office 5 days a week, and then was just doing music around that in the studios from like 5 p.m. to like 3 a.m. the next day. Then what had happened was the pandemic.
2020.
2020. And LA was going through it at that time. So there was like riots. You know, I had friends who like got arrested because of curfews. It was like very, very strict with COVID. And the COVID rates were like crazy. And my mom was like, you need to get out of there. I see what's going on the news and it's not looking good. And I was like, you right. And I had gotten like laid off from my job. And I don't know if you guys know, unemployment during that time was crazy. Like for no reason. It was like double or whatever normal unemployment. I didn't know anything about that, but I was just like, oh, these checks is kind of hitting that. So I was like, let me get out of here and stop paying this rent. Got my place subleased and was just like living at home, just trying to figure out how to get it together. And then Clubhouse was popping at that time. Yeah. So I was on there just listening to like just the wildest stories you'll ever hear in life that can't be repeated on this mic. But I started going down the rabbit hole of tech, because like crypto was really popping at the time. And then there was like the intersection of like crypto and music. I had a friend named Latasha, who's a rapper, who was like, yeah, I just sold my music video NFT for like $50,000. And I was like, US dollars? United States dollars? Wow. Girl. And so I went down that rabbit hole, got my first startup job, which was ghetto, but it was fine. You know, just scrappy. You're scrappy, you're trying to make it work. Ashanti was a co-owner in the company at the time, so I got to know her and her team. And then from there, just been running around, freelancing, doing crazy things. Stumbled into journalism randomly because of Twitter. Like super randomly, because I had a friend who saw a tweet and she was like, oh, this editor is looking for people at the intersection of emerging technology and culture, and you literally work in music and tech, so like you can do this. So I pitched the editor and I was like, hey, I've never written anything besides social media posts and copy and newsletters, but I feel like I could do this. And I sent her some pitches and she accepted one. And that was my foray into journalism. And my 2-year anniversary was in September.
Yeah. You gotta get the clappers up there.
Happy anniversary.
Thank
Or
you.
soon to come.
Very happy anniversary.
Thank you.
I think the common ground that I see from both of your stories is that one, it takes a lot of versatility and it's persistence. Since Lottie, we were just talking to you. I mean, talk about that. I mean, people don't really understand when it comes to the media game how you have to navigate challenges, and you have to be able to just say no to people saying no to you, and like, no, I want this, so I'm going to get this. Because I feel like we've all had to experience that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Like, how do you, when someone comes to you and just like, because you said you were doing engineering first, you're from a whole different background.
Totally. Yeah.
So like, how do
it feels
you
like
even,
a different lifetime.
your brain is interesting because it's like, how do you even decide like, okay, I'm going for bioengineering, but I want to just do journalism now? Like, that's a completely different field.
I feel like my brain is wired differently, partially because of ADHD. Hello. Neurodivergent gang. But also partially because I think like one of the things that my parents like instilled in me is that if you put your mind to something, like you can do it. And I think that's applicable to really anything in life. Like no one has ever achieved anything great by one, not believing in themselves, and two, not persisting, right? Because the people who make it are the ones who don't give up. So I told myself, and I think I had to kind of challenge myself to be able to understand the power of pivoting. Because when I moved to LA, I was very tunnel vision. I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Los Angeles, I'm going to meet Rihanna and Beyonce, and I'm going to be a famous songwriter. Because I didn't know how the fuck that shit worked. And then I got out there and I was like, what do you mean a songwriter doesn't make
That's
money?
crazy. I just want to say, that's not normal. Like, you hear what she said? I'm going to go to LA, meet Rihanna and Beyonce, and I'll be a
Listen,
The
songwriter.
top two.
I was like, you know, they go see, they black women, they go see him, a black woman, they be like, her, and we just go and get in and cook. Like, I really thought it was going to be like, just, delusion is a beautiful thing.
That's a fact.
Just embracing that fully, because I really believe that.
Yeah, I know.
I
can
really
tell.
believe that. And towards like the end of my tenure, I was, you know, getting meetings and stuff. I was
Wow.
meeting up with the A&Rs like Warner Chappell and whatnot. I really wanted to get that
Yeah.
bag. And then the pandemic happened and I was like, what do you mean we can't leave our homes? Anyway, but yeah, having delusional self-belief will get you really far. Because it's
I
like...
think me and HIGz, we was talking about that like the first time we had met. And we was just talking about how like you kind of have to be crazy in this industry.
Somewhat. I would think so because you know, I have a very interesting story in my exit from Vibe that some people might consider crazy, but when I tell the story and when I like kind of like explain it, and when people understand just the intention behind what I did and like just how things played out, they understand that it really. I don't know, like I'm such a big person on intention, and like when you do anything, like it's like, yo, people may not understand it at first, but if they can understand your intentions behind it, it's like that's really all that matters, you know. And that's how I see it.
No, for real. I think, well, you know, with both of y'all being black media professionals in this game, what are some of the things that you've been able to see over the past 5 years that, you know, you think is leading us in the right direction? You know, I think a lot of times we don't realize how much we miss the Jets and the Ebonies, you know, coming at your door every month and whatnot. Like, do you think that there's a change coming, or how do you see it?
So in the past 5 years, if we looking at from 2020 to now, I think that if you use the pandemic, like the time that we had, like that downtime, if you used it to your advantage, you were able to come out of it with fresh ideas and a different understanding of just how like your words could reach. You know what I mean? I feel like we were understanding how connected we are during the pandemic. And I think that's what we came out of it with. And so I've been noticing just a lot of more connectivity with us, like from like even like some of the stuff we were mentioning, like from the clubhouses to the spaces to the, you know, all these different avenues where we can now come together and like talk and have these group discussions. And, you know, even the platforms that we have, it makes it to where people can get to have their own podcast a little bit more easier, or like have their own, you know, setup in a way where we're a little bit more open, a little bit more accessible with it. So I think that's the best thing I've seen in terms of the black media perspective.
So you're touching on the independent media folk who
The independent media,
Yes,
yeah. Because like
yes.
again, it's really hard. Like, for some people, they find it hard to get a start. So they're like, hey, I'm just gonna start from here. But it's about really like kind of doing your research and understanding like what's out there and not trying to cut corners. You know, because I think that, 5 years can feel like a long time, but in the media aspect, that's a really short time. And so, like, somebody might have started something in 2020, and by now they think that they the pro. But it's like, yo, you still have a lot more time to think about, and a lot more to learn, and a lot more failing to do, because you learn from failing. So
I feel like there's always been a misconception when it comes to failure, because I don't really believe in failure. I just believe in lessons. I'm a firm believer in faith. And so I feel like in any type of situation, even though it may feel as though I lost something, you got to shift perspectives.
Yeah.
You have to use that to your advantage to allow yourself to grow.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's where success comes from. Those losses and those failures. Lottie, speak to what HIGz was saying with independent media now and just the media landscape in general. Where do you think everything is? Do you think we're headed in the right direction? What are your thoughts on it?
I think something that's really special about Black people, and this obviously applies to the professional space as well, is our resilience. Like, we always find a way, no matter what's thrown at us. And I'm sure like we've all heard about how the 2 last Black journalists and editors at Teen Vogue were laid off. And it's like there's so many situations like that where, and even like, Vibe being acquired by Rolling Stone and things like that, a lot of things are being like absorbed or totally kind of shuttered entirely. And then you have Black folks who are like, okay, I'm going to start a podcast, or I'm going to start like my own media publication, or I'm going to figure out how to leverage my content in such a way that has the journalistic integrity that my articles had, and things of that nature. Like, people are finding ways to leverage any of their previous success into whatever they're building currently and maintain that audience. Because at the end of the day, it's like people aren't just following for the publication. They're following for the writers because they trust them and they trust their expertise and they want to know more about any of those topics. So there's a lot of opportunity in the sense that when there is an opportunity, you just have to create your own.
You do. It's tough to do though. I feel like it takes a right frame of mind, because I feel like a lot of people depend on corporations to provide them that safety net.
Which is understandable because the corporations got the money, y'all.
But that's the brain. I feel like I don't want to get into a conspiracy bag, but that's the brainwashing. Like, we're not able to think for ourselves, to build a foundation for ourselves, because that's how you build leverage outside of the corporation. You guys doing your due diligence in the media world by yourselves, you figuring out how to navigate from one industry into another. That's not by corporate design. That's by the design of your own mind. HIGz, you navigating from so many different media platforms, like you had to be able to have that resilience and to build upon that. I think that's what people have forgotten. Well, in some ways, it's been renewed, because you see a lot of the newer generation, like these kids, man, they're coming out of here and they're just saying, no, we don't want a 9-to-5. We want to build on streaming. We want to build on YouTube,
these kids are using their phones
social
to become
media.
millionaires. It's incredible.
Very fast.
It's incredible to watch.
But the thing is that everybody, they can't all believe that they're all gonna like make it. In a sense,
Somebody
I'm like, I want everybody to win.
Course.
But the point of this whole thing is that they'll all see a Kai Cenat and think that they're all, okay, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Let me do it just like him and I'm going to get all the same results.
Yeah.
And then when they don't get those results, it's just like, and it's like, no, because you like, I tell people all the time, like, my trajectory in this industry, I feel like it only could have worked for me because of the ways, the decisions that I made and like the things I did. I don't expect half the people to have done some of the stuff I did or the decisions I made, but they led me to this point where I just feel so content in who I am as a writer, as a creative in New York, as just a New Yorker, like, and all of these things were happening based off of things that I experienced in the industry and outside the industry, through friends, through failed relationships, like a whole gamut of it really came out to be like this this original thing that I made for myself.
Yeah.
And literally, and then because we're all on social, like, yeah, someone could go to my gram and they could look through and like, oh my gosh, all right, let me do it just like that.
Yeah.
But then they get to the door, they realize that they don't even realize that I had to finesse to get in that door.
Hello.
You know what I mean?
No, this is okay. I want to piggyback off this because one, and maybe that's just my algorithm, I feel like every other ad on Instagram is like a masterclass. And I'm like, this is so, no offense to y'all that got them, it's just so scammy to me because ain't no masterclass going to teach you how to get the success of the person teaching it.
Right.
And I have been approached by like at least 3 different corporations that are legit that offer masterclasses, and they're like, oh, your trajectory is so amazing. Like, we'd like to help you build a course. And I'm like, I ain't selling nobody a dream because I know can't nobody do what I did for myself. And that's not even to say that people don't have the ability to create success for themselves, but you're not going to be able to do that by following my blueprint because I was zigzagging all over the motherfucking place, bitch. Like,
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
I just came off an interview with Eric Benet, and we were like kind of talking, and in the midst, I was giving him his flowers on. He had went viral with a video. He has a song called "Sometimes I Cry," and he performed at this festival, and he was performing, and it was just like he was going and he was killing it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yo, what is it like to get that reaction from fans just off your voice alone? And he was just kind of talking. He was like, I want other artists to just feel like they can do it, but then like they can't do it like I do it.
Right.
But I want them to just get that confidence in themselves to where when they get up to my age, because he's like turning 60 next year, but looks like he just turned 40.
He
You
doesn't
know
look
what I mean?
60,
So it's
right.
like, but he's just saying like you build up those years in the industry just by staying authentic, and it's stuck with me, and I feel like it's gonna stick with me for a minute.
Do you think it's difficult to find that raw, authentic self? Like, because you're really living in your true potential. Like, while going through that journey and building that confidence, a lot of people aren't able to get through those doors because they don't have that aura, what the kids are now saying. You know what I'm saying? But through those challenges that we discussed in the beginning, it's like, that's how I feel like you build your authentic self. Because then when you shine, it's like, you're not faking, you're not flogging. People can fall in love with the genuine you. Like when did you guys start to see or find that within yourselves?
It's just about staying true to yourself and having a sense of self, and a sense where, because like it can be hard if you're trying to figure out what to do and your outlet to do that is to look outward and look to the gram and look down your discovery page and try and like form a opinion about yourself based off an algorithm, because that's essentially what they want you to do. That's what it's like, yo, this is your lifestyle.
Right. Yeah.
Abide by this. And if you do that, like you might be able to get yourself in every right door, dressed nice and talking to all the right people, but then you end up, like you said, unhappy and alone and sitting there in a corner like, what am I doing here? You know, so you just gotta stay true to self.
Yeah.
I love that you talked about social media, because if we look at the homogenization of just everything is becoming flat, right? It's like, why does someone from Ohio talk like someone from New York? You ain't never, that is so, you know what I'm saying? It's just like certain things, like, why are you dressing like that?
The
why
slangs are crossing now.
What's going on? And it's like, and it's cool seeing cross-pollination, like that's totally different. But so many people like don't have like a sense of identity. Even like when you look, and Twitter is the bad place sometimes. And people will be like, oh, I just feel like so-and-so this because they're supposed to do this. And I'm like, who said they're supposed to do it, right? It's like we let things that don't necessarily serve us become authorities. And I think it's really important to know it's about you. And I always say, like, you're your truest self under 10 years old. Like, the things that you love as a child, a lot of those things you still love right now. Like, I knew since I was a little girl, I wanted to be in music. I knew, and I had like the worst depression of my life in college because I knew that I was pursuing a path that did not align with that. You always know, and you're gonna feel it right here, and it's gonna keep tugging at you and keep tugging at you until you pursue that thing that you're supposed to do. And you gotta ask yourself, am I gonna do it right now, or am I gonna wait until I can't take it anymore? Like, when are you gonna get tired of your own shit? Don't wait till that moment though. Start now.
That was raw.
So you talked about or hinted towards it just a little bit, but like, how does it feel being like the most recognizable face on Twitter?
I'm not gonna hold you. Maybe it's just me being like oblivious. I didn't even realize that until my own friends and family were just like, oh, like your Abby was like on the shade room, and I was like, why am I over there? What's going on? What's happening?
Is that a good or a bad thing?
Right? You just don't know what to do. So I am someone who's chronically online, and that's not, for me, not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's just a thing. Like,
has that always been a thing?
Yeah.
And we all millennials?
Since I was really young. But the thing is, so the way I was raised, my parents were like, you can't have like your actual identity on the internet because that's they're like pedophiles who would try to kill you. And I was like, bet. So as a child, I started fan accounts because I was like, okay, if I'm like behind the Abby of a celebrity, no one can really like know who I am. So I had fan accounts for like Rihanna and Justin Bieber and things like that on Instagram and on Twitter. And thank God that I had those not an actual account because I was reckless as hell as a child. But that was my way of learning how to navigate the internet. And of course, that's been really helpful with, I still do social media strategy for clients now. And then my own socials just organically do what they do. Like, I don't do anything crazy on there. I just be myself. So interestingly enough, I was able to navigate having like a sense of self online by being like crazy unhinged parasocial stan in my youth, and then growing up and realizing, oh, I didn't have to do that. Like you could just be chill. I love, so me being like famous on Twitter, I don't care about that, but I like the fact that I'm just myself. So like no one could tell me that I'm not myself on the internet, because like what you see online is what you get in real life. Like I'm a chill person who loves music, who loves culture, who yaps too much, clearly. And that's the same thing that you get online.
I mean, it fits. I think that's a good pivot. Social media strategy, being able to navigate and promote yourself, market yourself and other people through social media has become an art form today. I think it's something to where it's being taught in classes, but a lot of kids are picking up on it right off their phones as soon as they touch a phone.
That's the best way to learn. You can't learn it in a class.
What have you learned, from your presence on Twitter, through working on other social media spaces? What have you learned about the key to marketing yourself on social media?
I think the key for me is to talk about things that you're actually enthusiastic about. I've, made content about things that I really liked, and then someone from a label or someone from a management company or someone from a brand reaches out, be like, hey, like, I love that you care about this. I love how you spoke about this. Do you want to like come to this show, or do you want to like make content for this amount of money, or do you want to do this and that and the third? There are so many opportunities you can get from just being yourself online. It's actually crazy. Like crazy. Like I've been in buildings that I never thought I would be in. I've been offered opportunities I never thought I would get just by posting. So like we're in an interesting time where we had talked about kind of like the instability of the market. Media is in a really wild place right now. Like you know how you check the internet, sometimes you're reading something you could tell is written by AI. Like we're in that space. So people are craving the humanity of everything online now more than ever. Like I can't tweet without there being like at least 3 bots in the comments, and I'm just like, bruh. So when there's that real actual human, you having an opinion, you putting a name to a face, you actually talking about something that might be like controversial or whatever, that matters. And that matters to people who got funds.
I mean, I could just speak to it from my own perspective. A lot of the PR connects that I've gotten have been off of DM, and them like just finding my page just in the world and seeing what I'm posting about, realizing, because I always say that my 3 areas are music, style, and sneakers, and so I can write about those 3 things like the back of my hand. And so like my content and my Instagram kind of reflects that. Like I'm always yapping about music and albums and sneakers, hello, and then style, that's like my baby right there. And then I realized that all the other things in our culture are like intertwined with those 3 things. Right. And so I was like, okay, well, this works. And so now I just interject myself into those other worlds through those 3 things. And yeah, and you do that, and then I don't know, like, again, I'm not sure if like the many different ways of how I'm out there, but I think like my work email is in various different like PR databases, so they can just kind of like go there and be like, okay, let's go find them. So then I get it. I get invited to so many different random events, from press trips to banquet dinners to interviews, and some of it will be from PR companies that I know, and some are brand new. But I know that it's coming from just the way I'm presenting myself on social. And I know there's one particular PR company that represents Foot Locker, and they just DM'd me out of nowhere to the point where I thought they were fake. I was like, well, like, you trying to give me sneakers? They was like, and they were literally like, hey, what's your address and stuff? We want to send you some sneakers and clothes and stuff. I was like, no, I'm not giving you my address. But no, they were legit, and they ended up being one of like my best PR connects, because it was strictly Foot Locker, and then Foot Locker comes with all the different brands, so I didn't have to be like Team Nike or Team Adidas. It was like all of it. So it really just depends on how you, and then like the ways you do it, like tagging the right brands and like
listen,
using certain hashtags. Yeah,
tag will go along. I'm telling you, and it's funny because you had mentioned startups earlier. If there's a startup in the field of what you like to do, it does not take more than 10 minutes to make a video about it. Be like, yo, look at this company that's doing really cool stuff. They will notice because no one is talking about them, and they will reach out. I'm telling you.
Even your favorite brands, like if like let's say Jordan Brand, they dropped a collab with Cheetos, and you were one of the few people to get that Jordan Brand Cheeto collab. You throw it up, you post it, you tag it the right way. It's on their page, as long as you have it tagged. And then if they see it, they're like, okay, you show support, and then now you're on their radar. And so it really just comes down to knowing how to work the internet and using it to your advantage.
And those little things people don't really think about, like tags and stuff. I didn't really even. It didn't, like, you use tags. You go to events. You may tag stuff but you don't know how far those things can go. I think I want to stay into the realm of journalism, especially with the AI conversation. Do we think the integrity of journalism is at risk right now?
Nah,
because it's almost oversaturated with the amount of AI stories and videos and stuff. It's hard to tell what's human and what's not.
It depends on how it's being used, because like for instance, at my company, we use a platform called Jasper, and it's used almost like as an assistant, where like if we're building a list of like the 20 best hip hop albums from 1998, instead of me either going off of my knowledge of that, which could be extensive, it could not be, or doing the Wikipedia search, which could take a long time, could not, asking friends who could know or could not, I could literally just throw it in the prompt into Jasper and it'll give me the list. Now here's the thing, that list can sometimes be faulty. One time I asked it for the best I think hip hop album sequels, and they gave me the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill 2 and Voodoo 2.
Oh, they were just making shit up.
Making shit up. I was like, these albums don't even exist.
Yeah.
So if I was any less of a journalist and I just took what I saw and copied it and pasted it and went along with it, I'd be screwed.
Right.
But if I take that now and I pick like 5 of the good ones and then now use my energy to replace the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill 2 and Voodoo 2 with something that's actually existing, then I have a list that I've built out in 30 minutes quicker than it would have taken to research. And so in those aspects, you can use AI to your advantage as a tool, but when you start using it to replace your work and you just use it to just like, oh, let me do this AI while I get my feet done. Like that's where you kind of start losing me, because it's like you're doing it so that you can like have a lap of luxury life.
It's lazy.
There you go. That was the word I was trying to be nice with it.
It's interesting because I'm realizing that more publications are embracing AI in the ways that make sense. So like I already use Grammarly. That's technically AI. I'm not gonna hold you. Sometimes the suggestions are wild. Like bad, but sometimes they're good, and I'm like, oh, you're right, I could have this sentence this way, or I could use a semicolon here as opposed to use separate sentences. So it's like stuff like that is cool. But I think an interesting thing that I try to use it for is to help with like SEO. So if I have like a title or a subtitle or this, that, and a third, I can ask, hey, like, how does this rank amongst everything else that's writing about this topic? And it'll be like, this is not strong enough because it doesn't have this, this, and this. But if you sub it out with this, then it'll be on like on this first page of Google News as opposed to like the 5th page. So I think stuff like that can be helpful because it kind of helps sharpen skills that you already have.
When you're writing, are you using WordPress or?
Yeah, but like I'm like someone who like will write in like Google Docs first.
Okay, yeah. Because like so with WordPress they have like the SEO kit.
Yes.
Where like, you know, it'll turn green when you're
so
good.
it depends on which publication.
There you
some
go.
of them.
Because so some
Yeah.
like for instance when I was at Complex and when I was at Hot New Hip Hop, they both have their own CMS. Every other website I work for, we've done WordPress. So it's like it kind of varies. But WordPress has it in there where it's called the SEO kit.
Yeah.
And so when you fill it out, if it's green,
yeah, it'll tell you if it's like too many words.
Yeah. And then you just abide by the keeping your article over 300 in the body, and there you go.
Hopefully it's gonna be over 300. Under 300 is not like what are we doing? That's an Instagram caption. It's less than-
So we've covered journalism, we've covered many topics tonight, but I think one thing we do need to get into is the Grammy nominations. And right now we have a sitting member of the Grammy committee. Or the Recording Academy.
Voting member.
Absolutely.
Talk to me nice.
Yeah. So I think for the people at home, could you try to explain just a little bit about what goes into the process of getting these albums nominated or these songs?
You know, it's funny because there's a lot of conspiracy theories like running around right now. So I wonder about
That's a whole lot. Please dissect this.
Yeah. So I became a member of the Recording Academy in 2023, a voting member because I started out as a songwriter. I remember like when I first went into the portal to vote during the when everyone had their FYC campaigns for your consideration. So basically folks who want to get nominated. And when I tell you in some categories, it is over 1,000 entries, it is just like not humanly possible to go through it. Like, let's be honest. It is not humanly possible. It's funny because they'll have like the links for like Spotify, Tidal, whatever, so you can listen. And I'm just like, girl. Girl. Like I could have taken off work the entire week and still not have been able to get through all them things. So everyone has what you call an FYC campaign where they have billboards or they'll do something through Billboard or they'll send you emails. Oh my God. I have a filter for FYC so they can kind of go to a separate because it's just too many. Or things on social media. So like that's essentially either like the artist or whichever type of musician or who represents them, like the management, the label, whatever, being like, yo, this person submitted to be nominated for a Grammy. Like, they need that vote. So it's interesting because obviously like really popular artists like Billie Eilish, they can afford a billboard, right? It's like there's money behind her. She's got a whole machine. But for folks who are like smaller, all they can really do for you is a cute little social media post, maybe run some ads on it type. So it's interesting because there are certain folks who are always going to get nominated, right? Like the Taylor Swifts, the Kendrick Lamars. It's like there's never a year that they're going to submit that they're not, right? And it's because the same way the majority of the public knows who they are and cares about the music, the majority of voters also know who they are and care about their music. And then there's also like demographic breakdowns, which is kind of like a whole other thing. So it was overwhelming because a lot of the time, you're going through and you want to, and then you also have people who are like your friends, right? Like your actual friends who, no shade, probably have zero chance of ever getting nominated compared to everyone else that's in a category, right? Because if you have like only 8 in a category or 5 in a category, you already know, okay, 3 or 4 of them are going to be like the biggest stars ever. And then one of them is going to be kind of like a wild card where everyone's like, why are they in that? So I can remember that year, like when Beck won and everyone was like, what the hell? And a lot of people like didn't know who he was, but I was like, but enough of his peers, knew, and that's kind of how that happens. But yeah, it's interesting. And I think there's a lot of strategy on the side of the musician and their team because you have to think about, okay, what categories are actually viable for me, right? Baby, if this is your first project and like you just started making songs like 3 days ago, album of the year, that might not be the one.
But the delusional confidence.
Yes, but the thing is, so yes and no. So like, let's talk best new artist, because that one is always causing hysteria online. You have up to 3 times to submit yourself for best new artist to be nominated. If you submit 3 times, you don't get nominated, you can't submit again. So, I'm just gonna name drop. She don't know me, I don't know her. This is not shade. Tate McRae had submitted 3 times for best new artist. I think the year before, like, she actually popped with like Greedy and a couple other songs, and I was like, damn. Because if she had waited until that and the other stuff came, definitely would have at least got the nom. Now the win, that's a little bit more competitive, but the nom undeniably would have been hers.
So there's more strategy.
There's strategy, and that's, they're obviously relying on the managers and the labels to kind of figure that out. So I think someone who I think had the right strategy, Victoria Monet. When she submitted, I was like, yeah, she's getting that best new artist, and she got my vote because I was like, girl, I've seen you grind for 15 years. Yeah, wow. You about to get this. Like the way she executed with Jaguar, part 1 and part 2. I think she had also submitted for best engineered album or something, and I was like, brilliant, because no one's even thinking about that category.
Yeah, right.
No one's thinking about that one. But it was an excellently engineered project, and it's like, okay, it's less competitive. You're someone who doesn't have the same clout as other artists, but you have quality, and people recognize you for someone who has quality. So like, she flawlessly, beautifully executed that. She got 3 awards that night. So there's a lot that goes into it. And of course, like, I don't know if you guys saw the other day, I'm forgetting the woman's name, but she kind of came out and was like, yeah, the Grammys are rigged, this, that, and the third. And I was like, I don't know. I don't see. I'm not in that. I'm just part of the voting.
But that's a common conversation that people have.
Yeah.
But why is that? Why do you think that is? Because you see the same artist win sometimes. You kind of do feel that way. But the way you're explaining it is like,
it sounds very systematic. And again, I'm speaking from what I know, right? I'm not behind the scenes in the trenches knowing what the hell going on over there. But I think a lot of it is because, well, first of all, artists say that too, right? So like when you have artists, so like, I remember that one time, I don't know if you guys saw, when Nicki Minaj, the Grammy account had tweeted, or the Recording Academy account had tweeted that Nicki Minaj won the Grammy for Barbie Girl, and then they deleted it. They posted the winner, and the barbs went off, and I was like, child, y'all picked the wrong fan base to mess with today. And they never let that. And then the thing is, Nicki had already said like somebody from the Academy had like antagonized her and this, that, and the third. So now it's like everyone's kind of like putting the pieces together, and they're like, these people, and I'm just like, bruh. So, and the other thing too is that votes are not like publicized, so we don't know the count. So you know how like when you vote for president, it'll tell you how many votes one side got versus the other versus the third. There's no transparency in that regard, right? So you'll say 13,000 members voted, but sometimes I want to see. I'm like, how close was it? Was it 1 vote off? Was it 100 votes off? Like who? I
think that'd be a great addition to it.
I think that could be interesting, is seeing transparency, but I don't know if that'll ever happen.
So being a part of the Academy, I know that there are different chapters in the regions and whatnot. What are those meetings like when you guys convene together?
So it's cool. I mean, I'm sure that like the LA chapter is like crazy popping because it's LA. That's where all the music industry is. But I love being a part of the New York chapter. Everyone's like super sweet.
Shout out to Torre.
Yes. Good peoples. Yeah, like so you have like governors and chapter presidents and this, that, and the third. And it's cool seeing like seasoned professionals who like actually really care about like the integrity of the Recording Academy and just taking care of members. And you also have aspects like Music Cares, which is helpful with even like helping folks who don't have like health insurance or who might need grants and things of that nature. And then separately from that, there's the coalition that kind of focuses on justice. So I'm sure you guys have heard of the RAP Act, which is I should figure out what that stands for. But I used to know. But essentially it's like, it's saying that you can't use rap lyrics like in the court of law to incriminate someone.
Right.
And so like things like that, like advocacy and justice, it's really cool just kind of seeing all the different aspects. There's DEI, shout out to Lachi and the whole gang there. So that's kind of focusing on folks either who are like disabled or have other types of inhibitions with succeeding in music. So there's a lot happening. And I always say this, if you are somebody who makes music, whether you're a songwriter, producer, an artist, what have you, you should apply to become a voting member of the Recording Academy, because the year where we had our most diverse year ever with the same year that Beyonce won for Album of the Year. And I'm not saying that was the only reason, but it makes a difference. Everybody's not, old white male. Nothing, no offense to the old white males who may be watching. But I'm just saying, though, because it's just like, we're in a weird time where people are like, oh, DI, and it's just like, nah, it can't all be one type of person, or it can't be majority one type, because you get certain results with that.
Yeah.
And those results are not ideal for everyone.
So to cap off the conversation, who is somebody that you saw nominated that you're really hoping for is going to get that award?
Leon Thomas, baby.
Oh, Leon
Are you
Thomas.
hello? 6 times nominated. I said Andre. Now let me stop. Everyone who watched Victorious, I know it was crying tears of joy, but yeah, he's someone who's been working like he's similar to like Victoria Monet. It's like these are people who are like undeniable. They're gonna be around. They're gonna be touring until their 80s type, because it's like that's just bona fide talent that deserves a platform. So for him to have like a top 10 hit now and all these Grammy nods, I'm like, finally, goddammit.
Mm-hmm.
I was really happy to see Yes It Is nominated.
Yes.
I'm like, that's a B-side. You know what I'm saying?
No, I you know what's funny? I always used to see like every other week someone tweeting about, they're like, Mutt is cool, but Yes It Is. And I was like, taste.
What about you, Higgs?
I don't know. I'll be basic and say Kendrick. He's been my dog in the fight for a year now, and to watch him sweep would be just the icing on the cake.
Wait, so you don't want to see clips to get that rap album?
I need Pusha T and Malice to get that stuff, man.
I am enjoying the love that they've been getting. I think that they are amazing, and I think that they are great. But if we are talking like, when we talk accolades like the Grammys, we're talking the best. If we're talking like just on all levels and any aspect of hip hop, I'm sorry, but between G and X and Not Like Us, like it just was one or the other. So
I don't know, man. I mean, I love GNX, but I feel like, because I'm a hip hop head, like I grew up when early 2000s, everyone was listening to like Wayne. I was in the 90s. So like I appreciate lyricism. I grew up on Pac, Nas, and so Jay.
Wait, well, let's not act like Wayne don't got lyrics now.
No, he does, but it was just a different type of, it was like a lot of writtens. Hove was like one of the first people to come out and just say like, I freestyle everything. And there were people
Hove
that
ruined
did that.
a whole generation.
He may have. Yes, he may have. There's a conversation for that. But I feel like what Push, Malice, and Pharrell did with that project, like FICO, like there's just so many songs on there that are just, that production wise is just out of this world. And I feel like they just deserve it. They've been on the underdogs the whole time.
Performing at the Vatican?
I was going to say,
I'm sorry.
And then the rollouts.
Leo was like,
the rollouts was crazy.
I promise y'all. Here's how I think it's gonna break down. I think they're gonna get it for Chains and Whips, because Chains and Whips was amazing. I was waiting for a whole year for that song to come out.
It was a long time.
I tell you, it was when it came out, and when I realized that like Kendrick was, and granted, Kendrick's on it, so it sounds like I'm doing that Kendrick, but no, that song really deserves it. So I think they're gonna get that. But when we are, like, I mean, again, like, y'all, we all.
It's hard to deny Kendrick.
That's what I mean.
It is hard.
We all experienced this past year, to the point where y'all probably don't want Kendrick to win because you're so tired of the damn song, because they played it so much. So what I mean is, but that's what I mean by when old boy was running around with Hotline Bling and we could not get away from it, and we could not get away from it.
It's crazy.
Because I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to say that, because we're going to start a whole other conversation. But when old boy was out here with Hotline Bling, and we was having to, and I had to do this for a whole year, and what happened? And what happened? He went to the Billboard Awards and got 11 awards. And was sitting there like this, all happy as could be, and nobody said nothing of it because he deserved it. You watched it. I couldn't deny that Hotline Bling was the song from 2015 to 2016.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Give
was
Kendrick
like
that same love. That's all I'm saying.
Years. That's actually crazy.
That's all I'm saying.
Is Nokia not nominated for anything?
Drake doesn't
song?
submit.
Drake
doesn't submit.
Oh, he
so
doesn't?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
so it has a nomination because of Party Next Door.
Ah,
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like by way of.
Okay.
I was going to say, like, that was something was definitely missing in some of the nominations this year. I thought Playboy Cardi definitely deserved it.
Yeah, for sure.
thank you.
For sure.
But I think it's also because he spent a lot of time with The Weeknd this year, and I'm not sure if The Weeknd's looked upon.
The
as
Weeknd
best.
was snubbed. My whole thing with The Weeknd, I really feel bad because Harvey Mason Jr. brought him out and everything, and I was like, damn, all that just for.
Yeah. Here's the thing when it comes to snubs, because I believe that there have been albums that have been snubbed, but I'm also like the biggest Libra, so I always do like that devil's advocate thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say something is snub, what we're saying is that one of those projects that
Shouldn't
was
have been there.
nominated should not have been
Yeah,
there. And usually when I look at the categories, I'm like, I do, because it's like, because at the end of the day, I can look at each of those people and say, yeah, y'all put in work this year.
Yeah.
And so to say that, yeah, you don't deserve it because my guy does or my chick does, it's like it makes us look kind of funny.
I hear you. And for me, like when I say snub, it's not disrespect to anyone who did get nominated. Like love to all the nominees always, but I really thought Cardi was gonna get 2 or 3. And for it to be 0, I was like, damn, he barely dropped to begin with. Now he got even less reason.
But Cardi was weird because his stuff didn't stay on the Billboard long.
That part.
Like, it came and went in terms of mainstream.
Even his
Underground,
fans.
it lives.
Even his fans.
His fans were split. I will say that his fans were split for sure, because some people are like, oh, I prefer, this type of sound versus whatever.
And even back to what you say, I feel like it's as a big popularity game, because you gave me a good point. I mean, you made a good point, and it made me think of the infamous year when Malcolm Moore and Kendrick was nominated against each other.
Yeah. There was a permanent shift in the way rap was.
Yeah.
Because I understood why it happened that way.
We a decade out,
because
and it's still.
The way you said it was voted, right? And when you think about all of those people who were voted, that was Kendrick's breakout year. So you had to be on the know to know that Good Kid, Mad City was that album.
The album.
It was great. It was doing great, but you had to be like in the culture and know it. Whereas Malcolm Moore's that song he had, the shopping cart song,
he had the mainstream appeal on lock.
The mainstream appeal was there.
And if you look at the demographic breakdown of the voters,
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. And it's when you think about that, even the song he performed with, that was Logic, the one that had the suicide.
You're talking about the
that's
Logic.
Logic, but the same love song. But that basically, when he did that, he got the hearts of everybody. So when it came time to voting, that's who was on their mind.
Yeah.
They wasn't thinking, oh, Kendrick's album that's so great. They wasn't even thinking Section 80. You know what I mean? So it's like...
they wasn't there.
They wasn't there. And if you had been there and then got to there, it wouldn't have been a question in your mind.
I know the backlash had them shook.
That's why they gave him... That's why they gave...
having to come on and be like, bruh.
Yeah.
That's why they gave so much to Pimp a Butterfly. And granted...
It deserved it.
Exactly.
And
but
did.
Good Kid is in comparison.
Yeah. That's his
But that was them saying, we're sorry.
Yeah.
You know? So it's awesome, man.
He also got a Pulitzer from that.
No, I heard the Pulitzer. Was it Damn? The Pulitzer was
Damn.
Was it Damn?
Which is funny, because again, you look at previous and you're like, where was y'all? But they wasn't there. I love Damn though. Damn's one of my favorite. Damn is actually my favorite.
One day I'm gonna write a thesis on Kendrick. I'm telling you.
Yeah, deservedly.
Damn's your favorite Kendrick album?
Damn is okay. So in terms of, I don't know, people hate this term, but like replay value, I really wore that album out.
The fact that you can go reverse is crazy.
I wore that album out. Like, I really did. And the fact that you can play it forwards and backwards. And it's like, obviously, it's not his best album, but...
What do you think his best album is?
I mean, we already said.
Good Kid, Mad City?
Yeah, that's his like magnum opus. And it's not to say all the other stuff he makes is also like excellent. Like, he makes excellent... Even like the projects, people are like, oh, I hate this one. Y'all already know which one I'm talking about.
Which one? Big Steppers?
Yeah. Nice talking this around. The fact that you call it Big Step is hilarious.
Is that the worst?
You can tell I'm a fan.
It's not even a bad album.
No,
you think that's the worst? You think that's the worst?
It can't be bad because he made it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in terms of his discography, is it like?
But people are. Yeah, I mean, it's depending on who you ask.
I mean, it depends on also what you're saying is an album. Because if we're talking the whole gamut and we're talking mixtapes, then again, Section 80 might got it. Because Section 80, I can still feel the chills that I got from when I first heard that album.
That's the one that I feel like if you were there, that's the one that brought you in. And you're just like, hold on, let me see what he's talking about. Like, wait.
That's how I feel about Cole's Friday Night Lights.
Hello? His best project.
That's what got me.
When that hit streaming,
oh my God.
bro, it was a crack in the 80s for me.
I was telling my cousins call me Unc. I'm 29. I was like, you guys need to listen to this
that's
song.
His best.
Too deep for the intro?
His best. That's his
Two-Face?
I'm finding my way back to Cole. Like, I will say
Don't get me started.
Because I took sides and I got petty with it.
You got mad when he laid there.
Oh man, you know,
I stood beside him.
Listen, man,
it was hard.
Here's the thing.
It was hard.
It wasn't meant to be a three-way. He needed to see himself out. It really was not meant to be.
He shouldn't have put out the diss. He shouldn't have put it out.
Well, here's the thing. You know,
can I just tell you where I was?
He light skinned. He was triggered. Anyway.
He was light skinned. He was triggered, but he was friends with both sides. J. Cole, I was at the halal spot.
J. Cole actually fucked with both of them.
He called me. He's like, your boy apologized on stage. I'm like, no way. No way.
No, you know what happened?
In the crowd.
What happened was,
as a fan.
I was watching the Twitch stream, and like you could hear the silence in the crowd. Everybody was shook. You know
how many times I asked you you're lying, bro?
And I had to continuously say, I'm
and then
not
I went
lying.
on Twitch and I saw it. And I was so disappointed. That was the
face.
worst week of my life.
Nah, honestly,
My God, I'm a Cole fan. Out of the
J. Cole fans were fighting for their lives on Twitter. I was defending him. I said, nah, don't come for my goat. Leave him.
All Cole had to, like New York said infamously, all he had to do was shut the fuck up and finish his food. That's all he had to do. Shut the fuck up and finish your food. He could have been peacefully riding his bike. Everybody was like, but he had to jump in. I was like, J. Cole was Switzerland in the whole thing.
Here's my thing. But a shot was fired.
No, it wasn't.
No, so you never made.
That's the thing.
What you mean?
There wasn't a shot fired to Cole. He just happened to be there. It was always for Drake.
No, you got to track it. Hold on, don't do that. You got to track it.
First
First-person shooter. When you listen to it, it does not sound like Cole is shooting at Kendrick.
He's not.
He said, "Do you?"
Cole didn't know what the fuck was going on.
He did not know
So
what was
if
going on.
everybody's big step is that I'm here to clean up the plate, like I'm not even saying it right, but come on now. If everybody's step is that I'm here to clean up the plate, if I just named my album Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and you said anything steppers, you talking to me? And then just before that, oh boy, talking about some like a bad kid in the window of November. It's just me and his whole. So and then I named my
Drake's
album Good Kid. And you talk about bad this. It's like, listen, we lyricists. We use conundrums and entendres and all that crap. So you can say something, and even if you don't say it directly, if they catch it, I caught it already.
Right.
So that even him saying steppers automatically. You talking about Kendrick.
I hear you.
And so that's when it started. And then people love to make it seem like that was the beginning. Look at First Person Shooter. Them two guys were sitting over there, fake playing chess. I don't think they know how to play chess.
No, don't do that.
Can we talk about how allegedly, because I wasn't there, Drake had reached out to Kendrick to hop on. What do you make
Was
of
it
that?
Drake or was it
What do
Cole?
you make of that?
The whole
Drake.
What do you make of
was
that?
that they wanted it to be the three of them. And Kendrick is like, after all this time of us being the three and we doing this and we doing that, I'm not going to sit here. And then here's the thing. I do believe that there are truths that Drake and Kendrick have been throwing shots at each other since 2013, 2014, right?
2007.
So here's the thing. So when you say that, so if you have the person who you've been secretly throwing shots at for 10 odd years saying, hey, let's all get on a track together and let's put it on my album. You
That's
better
true.
F out of here.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, F no.
Kendrick
like,
said,
come on.
Kendrick had said, I don't remember the exact bar. He was like, we should have had a conversation first before you asked for any type
And
of
God
song
only
request.
knows how they had it.
So I found that interesting because it sounded like he was open to maybe not necessarily reconciliation, but a conversation. Like in actuality.
And imagine if it was a group chat. Like, first of all, how the fuck you get my number? You know what I mean? Let's start there.
My theory is Cole tried to mend it. Like he tried to, I know Drake reached out, but I feel like Cole being cool with Kendrick and Drake, but they just not being cool. He was the person that was like trying to bridge the gap.
You never made a joke during a serious situation? Like,
There's gotta be, but let's say let's say we all three of us is best friends, and then we have a falling out. If you're gonna be the middleman, I don't expect you to just throw us on a group chat. I expect you to have a conversation with him,
Right.
See him fill him out. You
Right.
have a conversation with me, fill it out, and then you kind of go back and forth.
you figure out how to
and be like,
mediate,
well,
yeah.
you know, he like. Not really, and you know that I spoke to him, and then from there, at least I know how he feeling from what you spoke, and you know how I'm feeling, you know, and then we can have that, because now I know where the gauge is. But if you just throwing us willy nilly, this nigga could be over on the chat like, look at this nigga, he think that we cool. Watch. It could be like that,
And now we're
I
at the
feel like
point
that's
of
how
no
Drake is.
return.
Yeah. Oh, it's over. We're never getting a collab
It got to be a
album.
boxing
It's
match
over.
at this point.
Yeah.
For charity, maybe it can happen.
At this point, I'll take another Black Friday just in case we don't get nothing
don't
at
even know
all.
if we'll
You
get
know what I'm
that.
saying? Like,
I don't even know if we'll get Cole and Kendrick at this point.
that's what I'm saying, man. Like,
Wait, but
it's really a
is
shame.
Cole and Kendrick not?
They had
We don't know.
this is
It's rocky
infamous
right
project they had been supposed to drop. They
yeah.
together. It was
Nah,
supposed to be
but
a
no, I'm
joint
saying,
project.
is they not cool? Again, I don't know them.
I don't know
personally.
what
No,
the
no.
temperature is now.
Kendrick's on tour.
Kendrick's not talking to nobody.
Facts.
He's not talking to anybody. That man put his wife in there, his kids in there. That's that beef went somewhere different. That's where I realized.
Yeah, no, that
I was
beef
like,
went
that's where I
real
was
left.
like, is this rap anymore?
I
for
was
real?
here when it was shoe size. Like I was like, okay,
Yeah,
this is funny.
that's cool. You know what I'm saying? I love the rap. I mean, this was the most infamous rap battle in hip hop history. You know,
would say
especially
so.
how big it was outside of Biggie and Pac and how that tragically ended.
Yeah.
But like this was the pinnacle, I think, of rap battles since like what would you say?
But
like
would you
50
say that
and
was
Ja?
because of social media though? This is why I hate
Absolutely.
sometimes. Cause it's just
Absolutely.
like if Hove and Nas had Twitter accounts.
I think it's definitely it could be comparable to the Hov and Nas
It can be.
because that came full circle.
Yeah.
And it came and it happened and it came full circle in a way that we all wanted it to happen, which is they came together and now they're happily ever after. You know, I'm currently working on an article right now that looks at like where we are in the culture as hip hop, just because of different aspects. But the beef thing is part of it. One of the aspects also is I don't know if y'all were aware, but earlier this month, which is Hip Hop History Month, hip hop fell out of the top 40 completely. And
Because of their current rule change.
What's the
I'm
rule
sorry,
change?
I'm gonna keep driving that home.
What's the rule change?
Basically, if you fall below a certain threshold while being on the charts for a certain number of weeks, you get kicked off the chart entirely.
What?
When did they do
So, what was that one song, Luther?
that? Yeah.
That
Wait, no. So, but that's because he was on the chart for so long. It
Right.
was almost like a
my
Lawrence
whole
Park
thing is,
retirement.
who's to say, nah, let it rock? They had changed the rule like a week before, and then
But I think
Luther dropped off. And not to say that should have been the only one or whatever. I think it was like 6 other songs affected, but either way.
I have to look at that rule because I think because there's such thing as like what's it, the recurrence, like
Yes.
after a while, like
But because it was under, it was closer to 40 than it was like 25 or something. If it falls outside of that, then it gets kicked off the chart. And I'm like, bruh, but it still should have been there, whatever.
yeah, I think it's
I think it was disingenuous framing. Sorry, I'm stopping.
yeah. That rule, I think is more or less for like when you winning. Because when you if you've been on a chart
Right,
for so long.
but that's the thing. Hip hop was winning in that capacity, but the way they made it seem like for the first time since and then Megan was top 40 next week. Now what?
But then she dropped out the next week.
I mean, I'm not saying this stuff is sticking. But
it goes. But what I'm saying, it goes to your rule.
my baby, my baby. Love that song. I don't give a damn.
Shut up, Clay, man.
Basically,
I feel like hip hop is not the rap. I don't know. There's different variations and subgenres of hip hop, but I feel like rap right now isn't sticking, and that's the problem. Like, there's not a lot of music that has the staying power. Not like us. I feel like in Nokia, where the 2 songs I feel like did stick,
Yeah.
but I haven't heard anything outside of that for real in a while.
but then you gotta think those 2 stuck because of the beef. So that
But
and that's what I'm
yes,
like.
but also
It
because
was
Drake
catchy.
and Kendrick are goats.
They're good
The
at what
fact
they
that
do.
it's literally only goats
Yeah,
that
it's
could
just
stick
goats.
That
is
part, yeah, that's
kind
the
of
part.
unfortunate, right?
Because I
you know-
remember it felt like every year when I was growing up, I felt like there was a new batch of like those songs for that year.
Right.
And then we're just killing it in all different genres. And I don't think we get that anymore. Not at least at the rate that I felt like
I
we
blame
used to.
Well,
Chicago.
I
I blame Chicago.
Hello?
You want me to,
You might have to dive into that.
No, I mean, drill music, I feel like the killing music has oversaturated the market. I think labels are looking towards a lot of that music and putting it towards the forefront. And I don't think people want to hear that stuff, especially with the Afrocentric music, and Caribbean music, a lot of different music that's coming in international spaces. Like, those are the ones that people are looking to because they're looking to dance.
Well, I had one more question for you guys. Do you think the consumer understands too much of the product? So when it comes to being music fans and whatnot, everybody seems to always touch on the album sales for first week and whatnot. Is there too many people looking at how the pot is being cooked?
The problem isn't that they know, it's that they think they know and they don't. And they get loud and they go on here and they say, but album sales and record sales and streams, and they don't know shit about shit. They just think they do it. They're either just
loud and wrong,
or big defending their fave. It's never. And then me as a journalist that always does my research and crosses my T's and dot my I's, I will see someone spewing facts and accolades that are bullshit, and I'm like, you didn't even do the research. You don't even care that that's real.
Yeah, it's interesting because here's the thing. Fans care partially because artists care, right? So like there was a time, I will not name the artist who did this. Remember when Roddy Ricch was just holding everybody off from the top spot? He was like number one for like God knows how long. With the box, and it was people posting about, hey, stream this many times at this volume to equate to this many digital download, and I'm like, my God in heaven, I did not even know like this is granular. People was trying to game that number one, and
like
I think
reverse payola or something.
The gamification of music is interesting because it's not about the music. Let's be honest, right? It's about how much do I like this person? How much do I want them? And also how much free time do I have? Because a lot of these stan accounts are clearly written by people who are unemployed and or very young. As someone who was unemployed and very young at one point, right. I can identify.
Did you say the glamification or the gamification?
The gamification.
Oh, okay. Are you talking about a game?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah. So
I thought you were making a jab at Gamma.
Oh no! First, okay, let's talk about Gamma for 2 seconds because Larry Jackson is like different. Him having Usher and Sexy Red, I'm like, how the fuck? I love it. I don't know what's going on there, but I appreciate it.
It's like a mixing pot over there, and they're like, but we got the musical home.
And they got it figured out. Like I can't even. Yeah.
Well, I'm about to end it.
We ain't got one more hour.
Yeah, we can really talk all the fucking night.
We'll have to do this again.
I've definitely enjoyed just sitting across from you because like I've learned and I just feel like you have a lot of great insight.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I mean,
you know the amount of time I spent on my computer, I better know what's on.
Right.
Well, I always like to leave off with positivity, man. So,
hello. From
each of you, we'll start with HIGz. Leave the people with some type of positive sentiment before we conclude things.
Okay. Just always remember that you are where you need to be at all times, good, bad, and indifferent. When you're in the good spaces, just know that you're on the right path and that you are just doing your thing. And just give yourself a personal head nod. If it's in a bad place, you know where you fucking up. And you know what you need to change. And don't ever go against yourself when you have those voices saying, watch yourself. In those indifferent times, use it as a moment to stop and just reflect and just look around and just, give yourself some silence and stance and just let it come to you. But that's my mantra for life is that you are where you need to be at all times, good, bad, and indifferent.
Nice. Lottie?
I think the main thing I want to say, especially like in these treacherous times, is like focus on joy. What are the things that keep you happy? What are the things that keep you encouraged? It might just be one thing a day. I have a thing that I do called gratitude journaling. So like at the end of the day, I write about like one thing that went well at least. So obviously I'm going to be writing about this and a couple other things. But I love it because I'm able, anytime I'm like down in the dumps, I like look back at my gratitude journal. I'm like, wow, look how many dope things happened like this week, this month, this year. Like, it's a great way to track a different type of progress because not everything is about reaching the next milestone. But even in that sense, it's like doing things regularly and being able to like stick to it. That's what really changes your life. So, you know, people talk about, oh, I want to run a marathon. Well, do you even walk daily? Like, you got, you know, and this is not shade, but you really got to start somewhere, stick to it, and then keep reiterating and building. And that's how you make anything in your life happen. And now with the internet, you can share your progress regularly too.
Amen. All right. Well, thank you both for coming on. HIGz, Lottie, for Over the Bridge. I am Doug Phenom. That is Jay White. We'll see you next time.
Chill.